Hey guys, this is editorial analysis for 9th October 2016. Let's go to the first one. This is from the Hindu newspaper. It's just one very small point. It says the great ball of fire. The great ball of fire. They are mysterious super hot blobs of gas which were detected by the Hubble telescope over the weekend. So this is something that I thought could be in preliminary next year. They could just ask what is the great ball of fire. Let's move on to the second editorial today. This is also from the Hindu newspaper. It says that an experiment was conducted in West Bengal in the year 2013. What does it do? It trained quacks. Who are quacks? Quacks are untrained informal healthcare givers, and this experiment, it trained them to become skilled health workers who can give primary healthcare in the villages. This was an attempt to use the available healthcare human resources to become assistants to doctors, and they are trained to not call themselves doctors, rather they are trained to become assistants to doctors. So what were some of the findings of this experiment? I'm going to enlist three findings. Firstly, it says that the experiment led to an overall 14% improvement in their ability to correctly handle cases and compile a checklist. Secondly, they correctly managed 52% of the interactions. Thirdly, they prescribed 28% fewer unnecessary antibiotics than qualified doctors. So we have to see it in the larger context. Nearly 75% of the primary healthcare givers in rural areas in India are informal healthcare providers. We as a nation, we have failed to increase the number of qualified doctors in rural areas, and this experiment, it looks like an effective short-term strategy, a good solution on a temporary basis. So that's it for today, 9th October. But in the last week, I had saved two articles from the Economic Times that I had not been able to do earlier. So I'm going to do them today. These two Economic Times editorials were not published today. They are from last week. So, but very important indeed. I'm just going to read them out for you. So let's go to the first editorial from Economic Times. This talks about how recently Ranbaxy whistleblower, he has pointed out that our approval and regulatory system for drugs and pharmaceuticals are faulty. So a recent report by Dinesh Thakur, he points out certain problems in our approval and regulatory system for drugs and pharmaceuticals. He points out three problems. I'm just going to read them out for you. First of all, he says that there is a highly fragmented drug regulatory framework with as many as 36 state and union territory licensing authorities, whereas a pharma manufacturer can garner a license in just one state and then he can continue to distribute his product nationally. So that is the difference between regulatory network for our drug and pharma sectors. I have absolutely no idea what is the difference between a drug and a pharma manufacturer. So that is the first problem. The second problem is that substandard and not of standard quality drugs, NSQ drugs, they make up 1/5 of all the medicines produced locally. The Central Drug Standards Control Organization and the state authorities are supposed to carry out routine testing of the drug samples, but the method that they use is vague and it's non-transparent. And thirdly, there is no mechanism to ensure that ensure a nationwide withdrawal of an NSQ drug once it is established as an NSQ in a particular state. So what are some of the recommendations by Dinesh Thakur? He gives out three recommendations. The first one is that he calls for a NSQ national database to vet credibility of the manufacturers. Secondly, he asks to amend the Drugs and Cosmetics Rules 1945 for a more centralized regulatory system. And thirdly, he says that there is a need for a public procurement law to regulate and mandate standards in the procurement of medicine. So that's the first editorial from Economic Times. Let's move on to the second editorial from Economic Times. So this is on the whole income declaration scheme. I have done it in so much of detail in previous videos, so I'm not going to talk about what the income declaration scheme is. This editorial is a criticism of it. I'm just going to read out the criticisms for you. The author has pointed out 4 criticisms of this scheme. So the first one is that he says that these disclosures are just a sliver of the black money stashed in our country. Secondly, he says that what are the causes, what creates black money in our economy? Why does it still continue? He says that dependence of politics from funding from black money, and continuance of real estate as a black money sink. It discourages true transparency on wealth and income in our country. So black money continues because our politicians need election funding, and that comes from black money, and also our real estate is a source of creation of black money in our country. Thirdly, the author criticizes this IDS scheme. He says that the collections are very low as compared to international standards. Asset declaration in Indonesia was $277 billion in just the first 3 months of a 9-month income declaration scheme, and they have an estimated black money of around $900 billion. So imagine, in just the first 3 months of the scheme, they declared $277 billion already, and as compared to that, our declaration was nothing. And the fourth criticism is that India has no guarantee to protect the person who comes out clean. So the author says that tax administration should use IT analysis and big data to assess income. So that's it for today, 9th October 2016. Thank you.